that it is really important to see the world as it is, even though we can aspire for the better world, but to accept it how it is, and to accept that some things are just fundamental laws of physics of the world, and to make sure that our actions are actually aligned and with how the world works, that our strategies are actually aligned and complementary with how the world works, and that we don't spend time actually complaining or playing the victim because things did not work out how it worked out for someone else, or how it should have worked out, or if something is not fair, and just focus on what is. And I feel like that's the fundamental element of success. Welcome everyone to LifewithLiza podcast. Our mission at LifewithLiza is to share people's stories and the challenges that they have overcome, so that those who are listening in can get the strength, the courage, and the hope to be their better selves. Today we have a special edition episode and I'll be a guest. And the topic for today's episode is quite an interesting one. I heard this quote that intrigued me so much, and it was that in modern day and age we have replaced what works for what sounds good. We have replaced what works for what sounds good. And I was just thinking that it's so crazy how to become successful, we need to face the truth. We need to know what works, what doesn't work, what is the reality, to question it, to question our beliefs, and actually to achieve success. But these days, so many times we're even encouraged to be telling the lies to ourselves and thinking how things should be instead of seeing how the things are, which is crazy. And I wanted to give you a few examples and also food for thought. And before I give you examples, I wonder if you could already think of any situations in your life that have been in the past or you're having right now where you are not facing the truth, you're not facing the reality, and actually due to that you're not succeeding in whatever it is, whichever area of your life it is. So for example, I thought of when I was getting my job in the Netherlands, or when I was trying to get the job in France. The requirement to get the job in the Netherlands was that you have to speak Dutch, regardless of the fact that you would not need Dutch once you actually get hired. You would not need it, and I have not used it. I was actually hired by the company and I have not used Dutch, but I had to speak Dutch to get in. And then I could say, this should not be the case, or this could be, this is discrimination against people who don't speak Dutch, and this is not fair, as afterwards you don't need it afterwards. But the thing is, you can spend all this time and energy thinking about the way things should be, or even explaining why they should be that way. But if this is not the reality or how things work, why would you even complain about it? Why would you not face it and then just upgrade yourself by learning Dutch? And I feel like a lot of the things that are happening right now, we're just like, it shouldn't be like that. You should not have to speak Dutch to get hired into an international company. But I just find it a bit interesting that we spend so much time in this discussion and talking about how things should be instead of facing the reality. And now, as I said that sentence, it sounds a bit like that we should not strive to make things better, but I'm not saying that is the case. I'm just saying sometimes it could be we could either invest our time in complaining that things are not the way, that this better way, or we can invest that same time also in actually making ourselves better and making sure that other way also works for us, like in the Dutch interview example. But also in some other situations, it could be that it is literally the laws of physics or the laws of evolution, or some other cases, the laws of gravity. We can be speaking, it's not really nice that we have gravity on our planet, it shouldn't be like that. But the thing is, we cannot do anything about gravity. It just is. And I feel like it's quite interesting that with so many concepts in this day and age, we spend time just denying them and just complaining that they're not that nice, or it should not be like that, instead of actually facing it. And that's why I feel like in so many strategies and goals, we need to also counter just for the truth and always work with the true nature of things and how things are. So another example that I wanted to give is, for example, me trying to grow on YouTube, and then I can just do different strategies and see what works. And then, for example, for someone, they just created a YouTube account, they posted one video, and for them, they got 5,000 subscribers from that video. And I can say, oh no, this is not fair, because I've been posting like a video a day and I'm still not at 5,000 subscribers. But that would not help me, because this is not the reality of things, and not how things would work for me or for the strategy of YouTube growth. So I think it would be just silly in my example to not take into account how the YouTube strategy actually works and try to make sure that it is aligned with my goal, instead just focusing on how things should be. I'm trying to give these different examples, but basically the thing is that the main takeaway of this video that I wanted to share is that it is really important to see the world as it is, even though we can aspire for the better world, but to accept it how it is, and to accept that some things are just fundamental laws of physics of the world, and to make sure that our actions are actually aligned and with how the world works, that our strategies are actually aligned and complementary with how the world works, and that we don't spend time actually complaining or playing the victim because things did not work out how it worked out for someone else, or how it should have worked out, or if something is not fair, and just focus on what is. And I feel like that's the fundamental element of success, or successful people, is to be able to face the reality how it is, and then to spend the energy to make the reality even better. But you have to be able to see things, see the harsh truth, face it, and work with it. So going back to that question, where in your life right now you're not facing the truth? Where right now you're just wishing things were different instead of taking action and becoming better? I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, share this episode with a friend of yours who might benefit from this inspirational talk, and I see you tomorrow.